Hey, what's up, guys? It's John from the Lucky Needle, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about one of my favorite tools that I always have in my toolbox wherever I go, and that is these Knipex Parallel Jaw Pliers. I really love these things because they have so many uses and they're very versatile. They're adjustable via this little button here. You can open and close depending on how large of an opening you need. And essentially, these were originally intended to replace um, crescent wrenches because you can use these on all kinds of nuts and bolts in any different size, and you can use that instead of a crescent wrench, and they work great for that too. But there's lots of other things that I use these for that maybe you guys aren't aware of. One of the things that I really like about the design of these is you can get a lot of more clamping force based off of the way that the leverage points on these work compared to like your regular standard set of pliers. These you can get a lot more clamping force on, and it works really good. So I'm going to show you guys some of the things that I use these for, and there's way more than I'm going to show you that these you can use these for, but this is just what I'm able to remember at the moment in time because I use these all the time. All right, so the set that I personally really love is the 5-piece Knipex Parallel Jaw set because it comes with this really nice case that holds all of the different sizes that they sell. They actually sell even larger pairs individually, but this set right here pretty much covers just about anything that I've ever come across, and I really enjoy it. Now, if you guys don't want to spend the money on all 5 of them, I recommend getting the 250 pair. This is what I use most of the time for big stuff, and the 125 for little tiny things. These are the two that I always carry in my travel toolbox no matter what because I use them all the time. The other ones come in handy just as much too, but if you can only pick 2, I would pick these 2. All right, so now I'm going to show you guys some of the reasons why I really love these tools so much. One of the reasons is they have a huge amount of adjustability. I mean, compared to a set like this where you only have a few different options, these ones go really wide. You can use them for a lot of times if you're like if I'm being lazy and I'm not 100% sure what size bolt or whatever that I'm using and I know it doesn't have a lot of torque on it, I'll just grab a pair of these. You can use them on any nut, any bolt. And like I said, if you set this correctly, you can get a lot of clamping force onto these. So you don't have to worry about stripping stuff out, which is really nice. The thing what's different about these compared to a lot of other pliers on the market is that they actually open and close completely parallel. That's why they're called parallel pliers, because they close like that as compared to ones that are on a hinge where they don't close like that. And I'm going to show you why that's so important and why I enjoy these so much. So other than just using them for nuts and bolts, they work fantastic as just like a basic sheet metal shaping tool. So anytime you have something bent, a piece of metal bent, or really anything, I've used them even on electrical connectors with the little tiny guys. You can reach down in there on the electrical connector if it's bent, and you can just straighten it right out. Super easy because it acts like a press, right? Because it's parallel when it clamps, right? The clamping force is even, and so you can bend metal. Like say you have a bent piece of metal like this, you can just come in here, straighten that guy, right out. I mean, it's not going to be brand new, but when you're in a pinch in the field, this works great. Another thing it also works really good for is if you actually need to bend a piece of metal. These actually work similar to a sheet metal brake, just on a smaller scale. So if you need like one corner bent or something, you can do pretty precise little bends. And then again, you can straighten it back out. No problem. If you need to do a longer bend, it's not going to be as pretty as if you did it on like a sheet metal brake. But if you're in a pinch, like I am a lot, you can do some actually fairly complex sheet metal shaping with these pliers. And that's a huge reason why I love them. Some other random uses for them. Maybe you're in a pinch, you got a bent nail, you got no more nails. If you need a nail, you need to straighten it out, you just put it right in there and you can straighten it out. You can do that with just about any piece of wire or anything you need straightened. These are great for that. Cotter pins. Now I know you should never ever reuse a cotter pin. I know that's against the rules and you shouldn't do it. But we've all been stuck in the situation where the hardware store's closed and you need to fix something now, so you got to reuse old stuff. So cotter pins, you always bend them over and they're always mangled, and if you try to reuse them, it's really difficult to get them back through the holes. Well, with cotter pins, you can just come back in, straighten these guys out, give it a little pinch there. And I mean, that is not good as new, but that thing's almost as good as new. You can reuse that in a pinch if you need. That's what I love about these, is they save your ass in situations where something else won't, you know. They're really, really, really useful. One of the other things that I really, really like about these little tiny ones, the 125s that I recommended, these are good for the electrical connectors like I suggested, but they are also really nice because they have a very, very narrow jaw width. So like I use these a lot in situations when a wrench, the wrench is too thick to fit into what I need. I've ran into that quite a few times, and these always save me, where I can slide these really thin, narrow jaws in to whatever it is that I'm trying to loosen, get it loosened, and then I can even retighten it with these. Instead of having to buy a really expensive set of thin wrenches, this will replace all of that, no problem. So that's why I really like these little tiny guys. Another thing that I love about these is that they're smooth jaw, right? So anything on a pair of pliers like this, they've got all this teeth on them, right? So anything you grab with it, it's going to leave marks. It's going to mar it. It's going to scratch it. These are smooth and fairly polished, so you can grab onto, you know, smooth things, and you can get a really, really tight grip on it and move them and do whatever you need with it, and it's not going to scratch them up. And if it does scratch it, it's not going to be nearly as bad as something like this. So that's why I really love these. You can even go ahead and use them on fabric. So like sometimes with canvas, like if I'm making a cover that needs to be stretched really tight, like a boat cover that snaps on or something, it needs to be stretched really tight. Because a lot of times with canvas, you need to install it really tight because it'll relax over time. So I like to install it pretty tight. But sometimes to do that, it's a little difficult. And so you can actually grab onto material with these, and you can pull on them, and it doesn't damage the fabric much at all. I mean, I would only do this, you know, in situations where you absolutely need to, but it's not like if you used these and it's going to probably cut into your fabric. One of the best, most unutilized things about these that I have learned is that because, especially these big ones, on like suspension links and anything that you need to press a bearing into that can fit in between these jaws. Essentially, these act as a handheld press. So like typically when you're, pressing the bearing into a small wheel or a pulley or something, you need to have, the big benchtop press that with the hydraulic and everything. Well, these, because they're parallel, they squeeze at a perfect perpendicular pressure, so you can actually press suspension bushings, you can press bearings into things. It works really, really well for that, and I use it for stuff like that quite a lot when I'm working on race cars. So that's another reason why I love these, because these save you a lot of time from having to go get a more expensive, harder to use tool. You can do it right there on whatever you're working on. Another random little thing that I love these for is if any of you guys have done much electrical work with like toggle switches and other types of switches on dashboards and whatnot, there's always a really, really, really tiny thin nut that goes on the back of the switch typically that spins on, and they're very, very thin and very tiny, and they're difficult to get tight. One, because typically you have wires coming out of the back of the switch, so you can't get the closed end side of a wrench on it. And then sometimes the wrench just, they're very soft, so they don't fit totally correctly on the open end side. So these little guys, they work great for that, because you can fine tune and adjust the size, and then you can get a nice amount of pressure on that nut for the toggle switch, and you can get a real nice grip on it and tighten it up. And also when you're trying to loosen them, sometimes they're corroded. These work really great for that too. Those are just a few of the reasons I really like these tools. Actually looking at my set of keys here right now, my tractor keys, because John Deere, I love John Deere, but they put the key in a bad position where you end up kicking it all the time and the key ends up bent. So if you got a crooked key, you can just come in with these, straighten that key right out like it's new. Yes, it will fit. That is adding fatigue, and eventually it will break, but at least it's straight. It'll go in the hole and it'll work good now. So anyways, yeah, I love these tools. I use them almost on a daily basis. I highly suggest these to anybody who does a lot of work with their hands in literally any trade at all, whether it's upholstery, automotive, plumbing, mechanics, contracting. It works great for so many uses. I hope you guys enjoy that. If any of you didn't know about these, Knipex is one of my favorite tool brands. It's actually the only tool brand, one of the only tool brands I will buy over Snap-on, because as a mechanic by trade, I'm kind of a tool snob, and I pretty much only buy Snap-on, but these I will buy over Snap-on any day of the week, because they're German made, they're very well built, and they will last you a lifetime. You buy this one set, you will likely never have to buy another set unless you like them so much you want to buy a set for your friend or something. So anyways, yeah, we'll put a link in the description for these. Make sure you pick them up if you're in the market for them. They're one of my favorite tools that I use. So thanks again. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. I'll see you on the next one.